Hello and welcome to Story Time number 3. Alright, and on today's episode, we're going to talk about something that happened to me about a year or so ago. This happened, I was working, one night, and I hear this noise outside. Like, that didn't sound good. And I'm used to hearing these noises because usually when I hear that noise, it means somebody has ran into a building, which I will get into that story very, very soon. It's coming. That's a very crazy story, too, about somebody who went into a building. But on this particular one, we're going to talk about how this woman ran into, a married woman at that, ran into the back of the guy that picked her up at the bar. And she was on her way to go home with him. And, yeah, things happened. You went into back of each other. Well, okay, so to get this started, the back what I was saying, I heard the crash. And what I did not know was the guy who she ran into was a regular customer of mine who had just left the store. And she was trailing him. He goes back on the main road and saying, boom. She runs to the back of him. She had obviously been drinking a little bit. So the only thing you hear when you go outside is, no, I can't. Why did this happen? I have kids. I can't go to jail. I have kids. Obviously, she didn't want to get arrested because she was afraid she was going to get a DUI. So it just so happened sometimes where I work at across the street, they have people out there, technicians outside doing stuff during that time of night sometimes. And this just happened to be one of those times. So he's out there. She's blocking him from working. He's getting upset. He keeps telling her, okay, you got 10 minutes. Or I'm calling the police. I can't deal with this. I'm trying to get to work. It's late. I'm trying to get this done. But y'all understand. So they're going back and forth. She's freaking out. And she is losing it. Craziness. And I couldn't understand is, why did dude leave? Why'd you not just take the girl? Why did you just leave her? Like, well, it ain't my truck. Like, dude, like, anyway, get back to the story. They get into it. She gets into a car for some reason. And like, you know what? I'm just gonna take off. She gets in. It cranked. It did crank. But the problem was, there was so much stuff underneath this car that she wasn't going far. Between all the glass and just parts of that car and parts of his truck, it was in there. She was running over everything, but she was at least able to move it to a point where it was out the road. So she was able to do that. She kept going back and forth with the guy over and over. It was nuts. So at this time, I'm still out there sweeping, listening to going over the parking lot, sweeping or whatever. The guy sees me, says, why don't you just go across the street? As my reply is, no you don't. I don't want to be a part of this. So, so she didn't come across the street. So I go back inside. I was like, you know what? I've dealt with too much. I don't want to deal with this. So they see me, she come over here, and I got to deal with it. I got too many issues myself working. I don't want to deal with that. So I'm in the store. I always poke and look, but nothing really happened out there. And a customer comes in, and he says, "You won't believe what just happened. I walked up here, but as I was walking up here, I seen this woman running by me, and I had to ask her what was going on, and she was like, sorry, I can't talk, I'm in a hurry." So she's running through the woods now, trying to get away from all of this, because she doesn't want to get in trouble. Okay, you got to remember, she's the one that's married who went to a club and was going home with a guy. So she didn't want to deal with this. Granted, she still has to deal with it based on the fact that your car is still there. So even if you're not there at the scene of the crime, the police can still get all your information because your car is still there. So she decided to take off. So the guy tells me that he saw the girl, and after that, I lose it. I got upset, so I called the police on him, and the police came and did paperwork and all stuff that he normally do, and they got the car towed and cleaned up the mess that was left in the parking. Well, on the highway actually, not the parking lot. They weren't doing my job for me, but it was in. But they cleaned it up, and then I thought everything was done. Then about 30 minutes later, the guy who she was with to go with home or whatever, he comes back in there and he starts to telling me about this night he's having. And then before he finishes, I went old Hulk Hogan on him. It was you. You were the guy she was with. He was like, yeah. I was the guy. It went crazy. She hit me. I took off. I talked to the cops. Cops were like, yeah, don't let that happen again. He got off. But then he was like, yeah, that crazy girl ran into the woods. She called me. And I was like, I don't know what you want me to do. You don't want running. And then and that was just a crazy night. So what ended up happening, what I did not know, is that somehow it worked. The girl got away. And I asked every now and then about what happened with that case. And the cops told me nothing pretty much happened. So she got away with it. That was the craziest part of this to me. You basically are drunk, driving. You're run into the back of the guy who picked you up at the bar. You were going to go to his house even though you're married with kids. You hit him. You get scared. You run through the woods to run away from the situation. Leave your car there. And you don't get in any trouble. What kind of mess is that? That's what I don't get. But that's not the only story I have about the police letting people off on stuff. But that's for another time. But this is how I feel. Story time number 3. And I hope you enjoyed this story. If you will, comment, like, subscribe to this. And until next time, have a good one.